Welcome to the Gavel. I'm Terry Ikumi. Now, this week, the National Assembly sat twice because of the public holiday on the 1st of October. So let's quickly dive into the business of the day. The House of Representatives has passed a resolution to probe the abysmal performance of Team Nigeria at the Paris 2024 Olympics to forestall future occurrence. Lawmakers decried a huge budget of over 12 billion naira for the event, which yielded nothing. And speaking of probes, the House of Representatives has commenced investigation into the bribery and corruption allegations against the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Nigeria Correctional Service. So here's a look into the proceedings.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the Nigerian Correctional Service, and the social media influencer Martins Otse, also known as Very Dark Man, were present at the commencement of the investigative hearing on allegations of bribery and corruption, while the man in the eye of the storm, Idris Okuneye, also known as Bobrisky, was absent.
That the evidence I shall give to this committee.
Very Dark Man refused to address the committee in the absence of Bobrisky, who sent a lawyer instead, and the committee responds.
The powers of this house cannot be taken for granted, and we will not allow it. So I will plead to you to go ahead. Nobody should deceive you. And I want to plead with your lawyer. You see, we invited him, not you. You've been raising your hand. We are in charge here. I want to move a motion that the witness refusing to answer to the parliament, the sergeant at arms should be called to arrest and detain the witness because it's part of the powers you have to invoke.
So it's obvious that there's a godfather somewhere that might maybe told him not to come, and then nothing will happen because he has disrespected everybody here by not coming, and you are trying to force me to talk, and you are already throwing a little threat that you detain me. I'll stay in the cell, and this is not my first time, it's not my second time.
Time went by, and his lawyer prevailed on him to address the committee.
Yeah, I have the recording. I have one part. I can't give you guys the whole part because I don't know if Bobrisky Godfather is here to collect everything. So I'll give you one part of it. Then maybe when another time, I can give you the complete audio. Furthermore, if he denies that one, I have another one that he does not even know about.
The lawmakers then turned their attention to the Nigerian Correctional Service, as the officer in charge of the medium correctional facility in Kirikiri, Lagos, where Bobrisky was incarcerated, addresses the allegations against the NCOs.
Idris Okuneye Olarewaju, though male, had some female features like a breast. He has a breast. Yes. This is the original of the medical examination done by the facility's medical practitioner, a qualified doctor. Then he arrived at the conclusion that we have to put him in a protective custody, which we did. And he spent his time at medium, the 10 days, in our P-ward room 2.
He alluded to the fact that Bobrisky's crime did not require him to be moved to a maximum facility, and that the transfer was done by the Lagos controller in his absence.
On the 22nd, I was not available in the facility. I went to Jebibo. When my controller put a call across and told me that he is moving him to maximum on security, for security reasons.
The issue of the suspension of the correctional officers involved got even more complicated as the lawmakers pressed further, especially as the officers attended the hearing in their uniforms.
Are you under suspension? No letter was given to me to that effect. Are you under suspension? There was a press release, so they just serve you a letter and tell you to go home. They didn't serve me a letter, sir. It's social media suspension.
The lawmakers demanded for video recordings from the medium and maximum security facilities. Meanwhile, on the allegation of bribery against the EFCC, the prosecutor who handled the case explained the reason for dropping the money laundering charges against Bobrisky, and the commission denies the allegation of bribery.
When he elected to plead guilty in court in the morning and having at the back of our mind that is response from the Special Control Unit against money laundering, saying that the Bob Express that we're charging for not rendering returns is not qualified to be a designated non-financial business and professionals provided under the Money Laundering Act.
The steps taken by the prosecution in proceeding to drop counts 5 and 6, which is akin to amendment of the charges, can take place at any time before judgment is not alien as the commission has in numerous instances caused charges to be amended.
The investigation is adjourned sine die as the committee resolves to send a second invitation to Bobrisky after his lawyer, who was present at the hearing, informed the committee that his client had fallen ill.
Now, straight into the chambers we go. Following the conferment of national honors on the leadership of the National Assembly by the President on the 1st of October, the House of Representatives is dissatisfied with what it describes as discrimination against the Green Chamber. A motion sponsored by all 360 lawmakers draws attention to the conferment of GCON on the Senate President and CFR on the Speaker. Lawmakers argue that both chambers are equal and they question the GCON honor conferred on the Chief Justice of Nigeria, who is lower in ranking than the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has submitted 4 tax bills to the National Assembly for consideration. So here's a look into both chambers of the National Assembly this past week.
Upon receipt of a notice from the Akwa Ibom caucus of the House, signed by its leader Unyime Idem, Wednesday's plenary in the House of Representatives commenced with a moment of silence in honor of the wife of the governor of Akwa Ibom State, who passed away.
Mr. Speaker.
Meanwhile, back from celebrating the 64th independence anniversary of the country, lawmakers in the Green Chamber were unhappy with what they described as discrimination.
The Speaker is the 4th in protocol.
The national honors announced by the President during the Independence Day celebration had unsettled the House, as all 360 members sponsored a motion questioning the national honor of Grand Commander of the Order of Nigeria on the Senate President, while the Speaker is conferred with the Commander of the Federal Republic.
In accordance to the protocol of this country, the Speaker is the 4th in protocol. The CGN comes after. Today, the CGN is given the award, the honor of GCON.
The issues here, they have to do with history, with tradition, with correcting past injustices and miscarriage of recognition and constitutional order of things.
Looking at the promotion of the Chief Judge, who was just few days sworn in, it gives some of us heartbreak to hear this sad news.
A lawmaker also drew attention to Section 47 of the Constitution to dispel what he alleged a perception of superiority of the Senate.
There shall be a National Assembly for the Federation which shall consist of a Senate and a House of Representatives. He never said that one is superior to the other.
Meanwhile, the House is taking steps to address the shortage of skilled manpower in the country through the establishment of a National Center for Technical and Vocational Education in Wamba, Nasarawa State. During the final plenary session of the week in the House of Representatives, the Criminal Justice Administration was in focus as the House considered a motion on the time spent in pretrial detention. The motion relied on the provisions of the 1999 Constitution as well as the international human rights standards to underscore the fundamental rights to a fair and speedy trial.
Concerned that the delay in adjudicating legal matters results in prison congestion, violates rights of the accused and erodes public confidence in the judicial system. Alarmed that the trial delays dissuade witness appearances and compromise the integrity of the judicial process. Cognizant of the need to address this systemic
injustice and uphold the fundamental rights of a fair trial for all.
The House also considered and approved the report of the Committee on AIDS, Loans and Debt Management on establishment of promissory note program as reimbursement to Nasarawa and Kebbi State for takeover of airports by the federal government.
The committee, in line with its mandate, assessed and compared submissions from key government functionaries as it relates to the project. The committee had diverse interactions, engagements with stakeholders. The committee also embarked on on-the-spot assessments of the project. Following the above, the committee do recommend as follows: that the House do approve a promissory note program as reimbursement to Nasarawa and Kebbi State government for the takeover of the newly constructed cargo airports, development of Sir Ahmadu Bello International Airport by the federal government, in the sum of 9,542,651,786 naira 11 kobo only.
Meanwhile, in the Red Chamber, the President of the Senate read a communication from President Bola Tinubu submitting 4 tax reforms to the Senate.
The Nigeria Tax Administration Bill provides a clear and concise legal framework for the fair, consistent, and efficient administration of all the tax laws to facilitate ease of tax compliance, reduce tax disputes, and optimize revenue. The Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Bill repeals the Federal Inland Revenue Service Establishment Act number 13 of 2007 and establishes the Nigeria Revenue Service to assess, collect, and account for revenue accruable to the government of the Federation.
The President's letter was also read in the House of Representatives.
The Nigerian tax bill, which should provide a consolidated fiscal framework for taxation in Nigeria. The second one is Nigerian Tax Administration Bill. The third bill is respect of the Nigerian Revenue Service Establishment Bill, which seeks to repeal the Federal Inland Revenue Service Establishment Act. The fourth one is the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill, which shall establish the Joint Revenue Board.
Separately, after 3 months of suspension, the South-South Development Bill, kicked against by a majority of the lawmakers, was once again resuscitated.
The South-South requires a commission that is exclusively dedicated to a region that understands our unique issues and can craft tailored solutions for them, just like the other 5 geopolitical regions. Another distinction lies in the way funds are allocated. The Niger Delta Development Commission allocates resources to member states based on the quantum of oil production in each state. While oil production remains crucial, it has led to unequal development where states with higher oil output rightly receive a disproportionate share of resources, leaving others behind.
In a sharp turnaround, lawmakers canvassed for its passage.
Each of the 6 geopolitical zones in this country seemingly would have their own development commission. So excluding the South-South might appear to be a sort of injustice. There goes a saying that what is good for the goose is also good for the gander.
The NDDC that some people may say is already there. It's not a geopolitical commission created. It was created to manage the issues of development and crisis emanating from oil-producing communities.
Other lawmakers mooted the idea for an alteration of the name and membership of the Niger Delta Development Commission.
The name and the act should be changed, right, to now include other oil-producing areas that are not in the present NDDC act.
Separately, a bill for an act to establish the Police Service Commission Training Institute also scaled second reading. The Senate has summoned the Minister of Works, Mr. David Umahi, to appear before it to explain the abandonment of portions of the Ogbomosho-Oyo Federal Road project by the contractor. The Red Chamber asked the committee led by Senator Barinada Impigi to immediately summon the minister with a view to unraveling the circumstances that led to the abandonment of the project. Lawmakers also urged the federal government to, as a matter of urgency, direct the relevant authorities to complete the rehabilitation of the old Ogbomosho-Oyo road to forestall further negative occurrence on the road.
Mandate the Senate Committee on Works to invite the Honorable Minister of Works with a view to unraveling the circumstances leading to the abandonment of the portion of the Ogbomosho-Oyo Federal Road project by the contractor. Those in support of prayer to say aye, and those again say nay. The ayes have it. Any additional prayer?
Welcome back to the Gavel. This week on The Breakdown, the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, PLAC, speaks on the proliferation of development commissions across the country. Here's the breakdown with PLAC.
Well, at this stage, it has to be pluralized, because if you do have it set up on regional lines, then no region really should be excluded. But the point really also is that it's from the same pot of money. So it means that the monies are going to be further dispersed into these development commissions. And if it's well used, then I think it's money well spent. But the experience, like I said, of the Niger Delta Development Commission has been that it's been a conduit pipe for siphoning of public funds into the hands of politicians and their associates. So that's what worries me about these development commissions. And then again, the relationship between the Development Commission and the states. What are they developing? What is the role of the states? Are they focused on doing boreholes or providing street lights, when in fact, what these types of agencies should be doing is to provide those types of development that is, or projects that cut across all of the states that are affected. So it shouldn't just be that you now begin to have politicians use it for what you call constituency projects, or someone taking it and doing electricity, street lights, or boreholes and so on. Those are not the type of projects that such a commission should be handling. You should be talking, for instance, that if you have the Northeast Development Commission or the Southeast Development Commission, they should be talking about providing regional transportation, including rail lines, train services, activity that impact across the region where these states are, rather than now a squabble of deciding who gets what lethal, insignificant, non-groundbreaking projects into their villages or their communities. I think it's important that you have government, the legislature, the executive focusing on trying to create development across the country. It started with the Niger Delta Development Commission, and now there are all kinds of commissions. There's, of course, the North-East Development Commission. There's the Southeast Development Commission, and increasingly there are lots of conversations around having regional development commissions. I think that if we have pluralized the establishment of development commissions, then it becomes important to see how they can be vehicles for development. The example of the Niger Delta Development Commission has not been a good one. It was set up to address the specific concerns of the Niger Delta region regarding how the underdevelopment of the area had been a challenge for the country, given the fact that they are a major revenue generating region or zone of the country. But now, it hasn't been a good example, but now again, you've added these other regional development commissions. And the question is, Are you going to have a Niger Delta Development Commission, and then as well a South-South Development Commission? And then you would have states who are in both commissions. Imo State, for instance, Abia State is in the southeast. Now there is a Southeast Development Commission, and they are in the Niger Delta Development Commission. They are a captive or a capture state. And then you also have the South-South Development Commission, which in some ways is a question whether it duplicates the Niger Delta Development Commission. So I think a whole lot of questions to ask. What is the purpose of the development commissions? If they are to become tools and agencies for specificity of development in the areas affected, then I think it needs to be run in a way that describes it as such. But if it's really just to create commissions for the purpose of providing jobs for politicians and their friends and associates, then I think it would be an unnecessary dissipation of resources across the country. So I think it's important to look at it from the perspective of how much regional development you want to provide. But again, there's also the question that you had the Oronsaya report that talked about different agencies and commissions of government. And the idea was that from the findings of that report, you're able to shrink government and remove commissions and agencies that are really very ineffective. Establishment bills are so very important because, again, you have to provide the cost implications and the cost analysis of establishing a commission or an agency. And in this case, it's a question, like I said, how have you done this? And if you've done it, what is it that these commissions are solving that is not already been addressed? And then how does this commission, or how do these commissions that have been established differ from other development channels that exist today?
Honorable Kolawole Davison represents Ido Osi Mba, a Legend Federal Constituency of Ekiti State in the House of Representatives. He is our feature this week on Constituency Focus.
We have been able to distribute some palliatives as palliative to them, to reduce the hunger in the land. We've given them rice, we've given them gari, and we're also giving them some money just to add to the palliative giving. And we are able to also effect changes in most areas that we feel that the roads are not okay, especially in Osun, Ekiti, where we are able to broken against that have been in existence for over 22 years. The road was not passable, but we make it motorable within 1 year in our office. And again, we've been able to construct some schools in various towns and villages in my constituency, classroom block for them. And we also procure some computers that we have ICT center for the youth, of the upcoming youth. And also, we also train the youth, the artisans, and some elderly women that want to go into trade. So we bring them, we train them for startup, and we also empower them with some money to start the business. In Ferroco, there are over 500 that we were able to do for the past 3 months. We've been on it, training upon training for people, and we are empowering them. And also, we also try to engage our youth, the youth in my fair consider that are in various institutions of learning. We have a program for them that wants to give some stipend, like a bursary, to also support the family of those in school that are not really where to do. Some people will tell you what they want now is they need solar light. So we are able to install solar light in various communities in a federal constituency. And again, we purchase white forms and for people in various communities. We ask them, we go to school and ask them the number of students that are in SS3 We take up their bills for WIC, and we also enroll them in extra curriculum lesson so that they can meet up with 21st century education standards. So we are doing that in various community. And again, the motion, we've been able to list a lot of motions on the floor of the House, especially when there was a thunderstorm and rainfall serious that damaged a lot of communities in Ifishe-Ekiti and Ayegbule. So we brought that to the front burner of the National Assembly, and we were able to get some incentives, some relief materials for those people too. So we distributed that same, and we are working to make sure our constituency is well put in the map of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the representative we are giving is all inclusive, and there are still others in the pipeline. So the program is ongoing. As I'm talking to you now, we are doing advert for people that want to learn how to make POP, how to do ties, how to do terrazzo, and a whole lot of artisan work. So by next week we will start that, and we've chosen almost 200 per each local government for that purpose. So as we go on, so we'll be doing our best to make sure we put succor in the face of our people.
Well, that's all the time we have on the Gavel this week. Thank you very much. Remember to send feedback to thegavel@channelstv.com. I'm Terry Ikumi. Goodbye.